good day, and welcome to Sports Paradise. Episode 27 has been that long already, and we're just gonna keep on going. As you know, I'm Dub, short for Big Dub, and remember, people, they always try to get away from it all. Go to the country, to the beach, to the mountains, wherever, anywhere nice and quiet, and you always wish that you could too. That's idiotic. You can get away from it anytime you like, just by going within. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the Champions League results and preview this weekend's Premier League matches. Then we'll talk about the NBA and the NHL playoffs and see where they stand. There's been some key Leafs news too. Some key Leafs news that we're going to talk about. And yeah, I guess you can say it's kind of bittersweet. Anyways, the Champions League finals are set for the 1st of June 2024 in London, England at Wembley Stadium. Before we get into who's going to be representing their countries, I guess, or leagues in the Champions League finals, let's recap the first game. On Tuesday, we saw Dortmund upset Paris Saint-Germain in a great game. It was some great weather on Tuesday, so I was out playing tennis with my friend, had a couple of drinks, so I could only watch the highlights and follow along here and there on Twitter while we were chilling. But from the highlights, from what I saw, the game was mostly Dortmund on the back foot, trying to prevent PSG chances, trying to prevent goals, because they didn't really need to score. Dortmund, they're already up 1-0 on aggregate, so if they could just prevent goals, then they'd be good. So they're trying to do that, but of course, Paris Saint-Germain, Kylian Mbappe, Dembele, etc., they're at home in front of the passionate crowd in Paris, and you knew that they were just going to create chances, try to score, just press no matter what. And because of that hardcore pressing by PSG trying to get the equalizer early on, during after halftime, that led to a lot of chances by Dortmund to counter. But for the most part, PSG was able to keep them away. PSG did have their chances. Either Kobo made a save on a shot, or a trend from the last leg they played, they hit the post. And for the most part, since, like I said, Dortmund was trying to prevent PSG from scoring, Dortmund wasn't getting that many chances to score, pretty much just only on the counter. PSG did a good job of preventing chances, of playing good defense. I'm sure they were prepared for Dortmund's counter, because the coach should have known, we're going to be trying to we're going to be really in the box, we're going to have a lot of players on our side of the field, Dortmund side of the field trying to score, so we have to be prepared to stop the counter when that is bound to happen. So that they did a good job, based on what I saw in the highlights, of preventing that. But one of the counters in the 50th minute by Dortmund led to a corner kick. And off the corner, the legend Dortmund star, Mats Hummels, he knew the plan. He was trying to, it's hard for a guy like him, his stature, to really go unnoticed, but he maneuvered his way around the box, got away from the PSG defenders. The corner kick, perfectly placed. Mats Hummels, perfectly placed to find the ball. Bam, right off his head, into the back of the net. 1-0 Dortmund, 2-0 on aggregate. PSG stunned. The home crowd in Paris is stunned. and that was in the 50th minute. From then on out, it just felt like time was going by so fast with PSG. They kept pressing hard, but to no avail. Hitting the post, not being able to get clean shots off. Dortmund is just sensational at defense. Just a great manager, great tactics, great players who are dedicated to preventing goals, to getting the win at any cost, getting their bodies in the way, not saying they're tired as an excuse. They just want to win. They're the underdogs of the entire. Since the knockout stage started, Dortmund is probably the most underdogs, and they managed to get away with it. They managed to win. They managed to beat PSG on both legs, home and away, and go to the Champions League finals. And time ran out on Mbappe and his time at PSG. Even though they still have their domestic cups left, PSG is still the winners of League One, but obviously it's not meaningful. If Mbappe was just playing for League One titles or France domestic league titles, then he'd stay in Paris and be the GOAT of France. But he wants to be the GOAT of Europe, and I guess, of course, Mbappe's won a World Cup, so he kind of there's no question about his talent. It's just PSG isn't a team that's prepared for a league like the Champions League, like Dortmund is, like Real Madrid is, like even though Man City's out, like Man City is, but they just faced Real Madrid. PSG, the league in France isn't tough enough to win Champions League. Although that's what it seems like, because they have great players, they have a great manager, but they can't get over the hump. So, like I said, Dortmund is one of my favorite teams to follow. So even though I wanted PSG to win, I'm kind of disappointed they lost, because that was like I predicted a 3-1 PSG win. I'm happy for Dortmund because they were the underdogs. They're a German team. They have great players. They have ex-Chelsea player Ian Maatsen, doing quite well. They have a player who everyone wrote off, Jadon Sancho, who's doing quite well. He's always doing well, and they have just great players: Mats Hummels, Royce, Julian Brandt. I enjoy watching Dortmund. I even watch sometimes their Bundesliga matches. And even though this year in Bundesliga they aren't doing well, like they're fifth place in the Bundesliga, it seems like, well, it not seems like I said before, the top five in the Bundesliga is gonna get Champions League spots, so they'll be back next year, whether they win or lose against their Champions League final matchup. So PSG is gonna be without Kylian Mbappe next season, and he's not the. They still have a lot of great players where they could probably win the France title and be in the Champions League again next year, but without Mbappe, they're gonna be, have even less of a chance. They have good players. They have a good manager, but they're gonna need another star, another player on the come up from France who could do well for them, be a good striker for them. But it's not PSG's title. Like, they're gonna have to get lucky one day to finally win a Champions League, and I hope they do. I'll keep on following them, but it's just tough because they don't win Champions League. So apparently, I don't know if it's fully finalized, but all the football pundits, all the Twitter news people, they're saying that Mbappe is going to Real Madrid next year. And you hate to see it, because Real Madrid, they're like already stacked. Like, Spain, I wouldn't say is a great place for a guy like Mbappe, even though Real Madrid is like I said, like a world team instead of just a Spain team. So he's respected there, but when he goes out on the road, could get harassed, could have a tough time. But hey, Vinny Jr.'s been doing it. A lot of players been doing it in Spain and Italy. So Mbappe, I'm sure he's strong-minded too and can get over it. But especially, you want to prove yourself in a league like the Premier League. You want to go to a Premier League club and perform in the hardest league in the world, besides Champions League, of course. But then you want to go to a Premier League team, win the Premier League. Then you want to go to win the Champions League with that Premier League team. That's what I would want to do if I was Mbappe. But it's his decision. He can get paid probably a lot more in Real Madrid, and he could win, probably not guaranteed, but he has an even better chance to win Champions League and Real Madrid than a Premier League team. But hey, Chelsea needs a striker, and if he could bring Chelsea back from the dead, which they aren't dead, of course, they've been doing rather well as of late, bring them back to top 4, top 3, top 2, top 1, back to Champions League with Chelsea. Hey, there will be no more questions about who's the GOAT. But that's just me hoping he can go to literally any top Premier League team and make a big difference. But speaking of Kylian Mbappe's future team, maybe Real Madrid played yesterday against Bayern, the second leg in Spain, tied up 2-2 on aggregate. So, going in, this game was set up to be an instant classic, and I gotta say, it delivered. It really delivered. It turned out to be one of those great games that just every time I watch a game like this, I'm like, wow, like I'm glad I started watching football, following it, getting to know the players, the homes, the fans, just the passion. I'm just glad because I would be missing out on so much excitement, because it really is a big deal. As far as sports goes around North America, Europe, the world, football is a major one, like the most major, of course. So the game began and it looked like Madrid was getting all the chances. They came out with the energy of the home crowd behind them. Looked like they were going to score first. Bayern was like struggling. But then after a while, Bayern started to get their feet under them. They started to create chances. They started to counter a lot better, making some key passes. But the thing with Bayern in the first half and throughout the game was that they couldn't connect on the final key pass. Like, they make a good pass to get out of their zone, then they'd be past the halfway mark trying to make another pass, but then just couldn't connect. They'd be close to the box trying to make a key pass to get a nice shot, just couldn't connect. It was just frustration of not being able to make maybe properly timed runs on Bayern's part. It was just the frustration of Madrid's defensive midfielders, their back line. They just could read the play, just prevent the pass from going through. Like Toni Kroos, whenever you saw a pass that was almost going to be made, he just slid in and deflected it like it was nothing. Like he just saw it even before the German player, like Bayern players saw it. So Madrid, their coach Don Ancelotti is, he's one of the best there ever was based on what I've seen. I thought he was like a Real Madrid lifer, but turns out he's been only with Real Madrid, I believe, for maybe 4 seasons now, and he's already won a Champions League. But he's won a Champions League with a few other teams, Italian teams, Spanish teams. I'm not sure, and he did coach Chelsea for, I'm not sure if it was more than 1 season, but he did coach Chelsea in the when they were in the Champions League, and didn't win it with Chelsea, but he went pretty far. And he's just one of those coaches who you don't want to mess with as far as strategy goes. And he really showed it off because he made some great substitutions. Going into halftime, it was tied 2-2. Both Bayern Munich and Real Madrid just looking to get a chance from like anywhere on the pitch. You knew it was gonna take like a spectacular goal to break the ice, and I was just waiting for it. Coming out of halftime, Vinny Jr. was electric. He was just running down, shooting the ball, passing the ball, just being a menace on the pitch. but they couldn't get by. Manuel Neuer, the Bayern goalie, was making great saves. Bayern kept getting their counter chances, but like I said, they couldn't make the final pass. Couldn't make the pass when it counted. So it was just 2-2 for the longest time. But the thing that happened with Bayern Munich was early on in the game, a key player, Serge Gnabry, was hurt, and it was serious enough for him to be removed from the game. And who was his replacement? None other than the Canadian Alphonso Davies. And as soon as he stepped onto the pitch, he was just like a bolt of lightning, just instant like creativity, instant running, instant trying to connect on plays. But he would Alphonso Davies is like a defense, like a left back, and he would just be running up trying to get behind the Real Madrid defensive line. But Bayern's players, they couldn't connect on the passes as usual. Just kept getting intercepted when all you had to do was maybe give it a bit of loft on it. Just loft it a bit over the defense, and he would have got it. Couldn't do it. Until the 68th minute, when Harry Kane got the ball, and finally, just a masterful pass all the way cross field practically to Alphonso Davies making the run. The absolute perfect first touch. Davies carried the ball into the box, used his speed, used his great footwork. Bam, shot it. Like almost a bit inside the corner of the box. He got in, got an open shot, and drilled it right into the right corner of the net. The Real Madrid goalie couldn't save it. Bayern celebrating 1-0, 3-2 on the aggregate. It's looking like, maybe they're gonna win. Maybe they're gonna pull it off, and it'll be two German teams in the Champions League final. But honestly, Real Madrid at home, Champions League final on the line, Don Ancelotti coaching them. You just knew it wasn't gonna last. You knew that they were gonna score, if not one, or if not, score, take the lead and win it, but at least tie it up and send it to extra time. But ex-Chelsea boss, now Bayern Munich boss, not even going to be there, not even going to be in Bayern next season. Everyone in Chelsea's calling for him back, like, oh, we missed Tuchel, he won us Champions League. And he has been a great coach, considering Bayern has greatly slacked off in their entire season. Bundesliga, domestic cup, Champions League, they've been doing well. But some decisions by Thomas Tuchel yesterday were very questionable because even if Real Madrid scored only one goal, it was going to go to extra time, and you would need players who could score. It could have gone to penalties. You would need players who could score. But instead, they were trying to defend a 1-0 lead against a Real Madrid side that were going to be relentless in the final minutes of the game, including 9 minutes of extra time. So that didn't even work, because on the 88th minute, Vinny Jr., like I said, just a masterclass of a player, shot the ball. It kind of jumped up into Neuer's hands, and he couldn't control it. Dropped right in front of the net. Madrid player Joselu, right place, right time, nailed it in. 1-1, just like that. Either going to extra time or either going to win it. But Madrid was going to not just sit on their backs and not try to score. Meanwhile, Bayern doesn't have an offense coming from anywhere because it's only defensive guys on the pitch. Harry Kane's off. Sané's off. Defensive guys trying to hold the game against just a juggernaut of an attack. Like, you have Vinny Jr., you have Modric, you have Bellingham, you have Hosselu on the pitch. 2 minutes into added time, Joselu scored again. A nice pass to the box. Finished it off. 2-1 Real Madrid, 4-3 on aggregate, and that was it. That was all they needed. Even though Vinny Jr. didn't score, he was still the man of the match. That's how you know that he was just impeccable that game. So the Champions League finals are set. 1st of June at Wembley Stadium. Dortmund from Germany versus Real Madrid of Spain. We'll see who wins. It'd be a major, one of the most, probably, from what I know, it'll probably be the most major upset in the history of Champions League if Dortmund wins that game. But Champions League finals is only one game. It's not going to be two. It's at a neutral site, so anything can happen because Dortmund, they've been impressive, quite impressive. Everyone knows about Dortmund's defense, and lately they've been getting some great offense, just some timely goals. Füllkrug, Brandt, Adeyemi, Ian Matten joining up, Daniel Malin, Jadon Sancho. Those are some great players. They remind me of like a type of team that Chelsea is, just a team that could be underperforming but should be doing better and could pull up an upset. Chelsea in their tournament finals this year, Liverpool, and then the semifinals against Man City, they couldn't pull it off. So let's see if Dortmund can pull out the upset. I'll be cheering for an upset because I wouldn't want Real Madrid to just come in and blow them out. So I'd want Dortmund to at least score first and then maybe score second and then see what Real Madrid can do from there. They can tie it up, go to penalties. Who knows what will happen? But, if I was betting, the safe bet would be to bet on Real Madrid. But I'm praying for an upset. And I'm not going to be betting on that game anyways. What's next for Bayern is that, I don't know, it seems that Harry Kane is just the most cursed player in the history of football. He's either the curse or he curses teams, because Thomas Tuchel, he's a great coach. He's a Champions League winning coach. And, Harry Kane has never won a trophy in England. And you go to Bayern, you're like, wow, Bayern, they dominate the Bundesliga year in, year out, And then first season in Bundesliga, Harry Kane dominated, scoring all the goals, but they couldn't even win Bundesliga, couldn't win Champions League. So who knows what's up with Harry Kane. Can't win for England either. So we'll see what's in store for Harry Kane. You'd think that with Bayern, he's gonna win the league eventually, but it's all about Champions League results. That's what he wants the most, just like Mbappe. But like I said, at least Mbappe has a World Cup, which is the ultimate crown jewel of football glory. So Harry Kane has a long way to go, but he is a legend. He is respectable, but he's just one of those guys who can't win. It seems like, Ovi went through that. Sorry to always bring up Ovi, but Ovechkin, the GOAT, he went through being good in the regular season, scoring all the goals, being dominant, but not winning a Stanley Cup until he did. So maybe Harry Kane will win. But, it's got to be a Champions League, because obviously winning championship, being the best team in Germany is good, but it's kind of like when you're expected to win every single year, you have to, and they didn't, and it's like a choke for Bayern. So we'll see. In the Premier League this weekend, there's going to be more key games. Chelsea's on a roll, but this weekend they're going to be on the road against Nottingham Forest. And this is going to be a big test for them, considering how they've dominated recently at home. It's going to be a good test to be on the road, play with the same players, the same formation that's been winning in dominant fashion. So a win for Chelsea on the road at Nottingham Forest is going to be very impressive. And it's going to be key into making sure they finish top 6 and they can potentially get a spot in Europe next year. You probably know by now, if you follow the Premier League or football news, that the nominees for young player of the season, manager, etc., they've been released. And Mr. Cole Palmer has been nominated for both Young Player of the Season and Player of the Season. So, obviously, I'm a Chelsea fan. If I was unbiased, would Cole Palmer have my vote for Young Player of the Year or Player of the Year? The problem is that Phil Foden is also nominated for both. Haaland is nominated also for both. And so is Isak. Alexander Isak from Newcastle. So, I'm a Chelsea fan. What Cole Palmer has been doing has been absolutely incredible. But Chelsea, don't have the best record. They've kind of been losing a few games here and there. Early on in the season, of course, like I said. But for the most part, Phil Foden has just been absolutely electric. Man City, great record. Probably will win the Premier League again. So, if I would, to be honest, I would vote for Foden as the Young Player of the Year. The Player of the Season could be a bit tougher. That includes Haaland, like I said again, Phil Foden, Virgil van Dijk, a defensive player. So, and what I've seen him do, he's absolutely a stud center back. Isak from Newcastle, Odegaard from Arsenal, Declan Rice from Arsenal, and Ollie Watkins. So, I haven't really, obviously I know all about these players, but I haven't really watched all their games. I usually see Haaland, Foden play, Van Dijk, Isak, Odegaard, and Rice, but not so much Ollie Watkins. From what I can tell from all these players, the Player of the Year just might be Foden too. I don't know. The way he just, Haaland, he's more of a tapping guy. Doesn't really create chances on his own, but he's obviously a sensational finisher no matter where. But Foden can just create, score, the pace, can do anything. It's a tough call for me. I wouldn't say I'm too knowledgeable to make an opinion about Odegaard and Rice. Arsenal, they have a great team. They're gonna top of the Premier League right now, but they don't have as much the great stats like Foden or Haaland or even Cole Palmer. But the record shows, and their presence, their impact, it shows. But honestly, based on just what I've seen, who's the most exciting, who's best, who's changed the game the most, I gotta give it to Phil Foden for both Young Player and Player of the Season. We'll see what happens though. Anyways, the title race teams are gonna be both in action, of course, over the weekend. Man City is playing early Saturday against Fulham, and Arsenal is playing in the afternoon Sunday against Man United. Fulham, Man City is going to be on the road for that game, but I still don't think they really have much to worry about. No matter who starts up front, no matter who starts midfield, back line, they're going to be a lot better than Fulham is. They can just score pretty much, not when they want to, but when they need to. They can just find a goal and then just keep on breaking the confidence down of the team they're playing. So they might take a while to score the first goal, but then after that, it's just going to be the floodgates. Similar to what Arsenal does. But Arsenal, they don't have the game at hand that Man City does. Manchester United is coming off a major loss at Crystal Palace. They lost 4-0 to Crystal Palace. and they're gonna face Arsenal. But the thing is, Man United are at home. Um, I mean, even though you think they have some pride in themselves, you think that they could come out and perform well. I really don't think they're gonna win. To be honest, I don't want United to win either because Chelsea is trying to keep pace with them, and like maybe Chelsea won't win. Maybe they'll tie over the weekend. So honestly, I'd rather, to be honest, I'd rather Arsenal win, just to make sure that Man United stays below Chelsea. But it doesn't really matter if Arsenal wins because if Man City has the game in hand, they're still gonna win out and win the Premier League, which is what I want because I don't want Arsenal to beat, or I don't want Arsenal to win the Premier League, but I want them to beat Man United for Chelsea's sake. But those should both be two good games. The Man City Fulham one might be, kind of a blowout, maybe, but just because of the legend of United and Arsenal and Old Trafford, that shaping up to be should be a good game. But United has sucked this season, so you never know what can happen. Arsenal could just come out flying and blow out Man United just like they did, or just like Crystal Palace did against United the last game. So the Premier League season, another season is coming to an end, but the remaining games are going to be huge for a lot of teams, and eventually we're going to get a winner and see how the Premier League finishes. This might be one of the best finishes because Man City really can't lose. They have to win out, so their celebration might be even better because of the pressure they face, because of losing the Champions League and winning a tough league like the Premier League is still going to be, I would say, maybe a successful season by their standards, even though they want to be in the Champions League. But you can't win them all. Real Madrid, they lost to, is Champions League Titans. But we'll still get more football this summer with the Euro Cup starting in June. I'm going to be cheering for France. And like you go on the Fanatics website trying to find a France Kylian Mbappe jersey. Tell me why they're over $200 for practically a t-shirt like that behind me, Chelsea jersey. I bought it in England, but even with the currency difference, it wasn't even close to being $200. So tell me why an Mbappe jersey is that expensive for France. It's honestly ridiculous. And even if I could afford it, I don't know. I don't see myself wasting money. And no matter how much I want it, because I just love sports, love collecting memorabilia for sports, I can't justify that. I really can't. So on to the NBA. As things stand in the second round, the Celtics are up 1-0 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Celtics, to no one's surprise, blew out the Cavs in Game 1. And without Porzingis in the lineup, doesn't really make a difference. They're a lot better than the Cavs, seems like, at every aspect. Like, the Celtics are kind of a boring team. The Cavaliers kind of a boring team. This is going to be probably a boring series. The Knicks lead 2-0 against the Pacers. The Pacers, they're really trying their best, but the Knicks are just on a different level right now. They're on a different level. The Knicks probably won't sweep the Pacers, but they're probably gonna win the series. The Pacers, they're kind of a boring team, and the Knicks, they're like one of the most exciting teams because of Jalen Brunson, and because of the lore of New York. In the Western Conference, OKC is up 1-0 versus the Mavs, and I was surprised that the first game was a blowout for the Thunder, because Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving coming off a nice win against the Clippers, but OKC is still dominating 5-0 in the playoffs now, and you'd hope that the Mavs could win at least one game, maybe two, or improve and take it to 7. But OKC seems like they're just gonna keep on rolling. keep on rolling, just like the Minnesota Timberwolves are keep on rolling. Like Rudy Gobert missed game two because the birth of his son, didn't really miss a beat. They won. The Wolves won game two against the Nuggets by more than they won game one. Nuggets players already in shambles. Jamal Murray tossing things at the referee, getting fined $100,000. No suspension, but a major fine. And you can't really suspend a guy like that. Like, I mean, you could have, of course, but you don't really want to. It wasn't like he threw things and it hit the referee, because that would have been a different story. But just to throw it in his direction, you know, he could have been suspended for that. But it was a tough call. It wasn't like he hit a player, or like was a dirty move against a player. It was just tossing things. You can't disrespect the refs and show them up for the most part, but he was fined, pretty hefty amount, $100K. That's a lot for maybe even a basketball player making a lot of money. But the Nuggets, I don't know if they're gonna get swept. I don't know if they win one game, but the Wolves are just stifling on defense, and to have the Nuggets already like in shambles, already like losing control of who they are after two games, the Wolves are really getting in their heads. Last night, the Knicks won a great game in Madison Square Garden against the Pacers, and that was the only game on. At the end of the game, press conference, Rick Carlisle is saying that they're gonna submit calls to the league where apparently 78 calls went against the Pacers. So we'll see what comes of that, but probably nothing. The Pacers are going home, and they should have a good showing. But hey, Brunson during the second quarter was out for the majority of it, and he came they said he had a sore foot, and I guess he came back in the second half, and just halftime let him heal his foot up. He came back in the second half and was back to himself. The role players can focus on being role players, and Brunson can focus on what he's doing best, and they can focus on defense as a unit. And going into halftime, the Knicks were down by around 10, I think, and they came back and won the game. The MSG crowd is still going off, still incredibly loud. So tonight is game two between Boston and the Cavs. That's probably going to be another Boston blowout, especially because they're at home. And it's going to be game two between Dallas and OKC. And you'd hope that that Dallas can make it a series, but OKC has just been dominant, just like the Timberwolves have been and the Celtics have been. So maybe we'll see what Doncic and Kyrie can do, because those are two legit superstars. Like, you can argue that Doncic and Kyrie are better than anyone that OKC has. But if you just play a bit of a defense on them, they could be shut down, and that seemed to be happening in game one. But the coach has to make adjustments. Jason Kidd has to make adjustments and try to make it a good game in game two. So the MVP award was awarded a couple of days ago or yesterday, and Nikola Jokic won his third MVP in 4 seasons. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was second, and Doncic was third. Honestly, I would have put the award as Shai first, Jokic second, Doncic third. But I guess either way, you can't go wrong, because Jokic is pretty much the best player in the league on the best team. But the Thunder also, but Shai definitely had a bigger impact, and the team, if he was out, the team would definitely be in shambles, while at least the Nuggets would still have Jamal Murray, etc. on their team. But I just feel like Jokic, while Denver is probably like a 2-man team too, Jamal Murray's a better sidekick than what Shai has, and Shai's just been to bring OKC from like last place to first place is a major accomplishment, and that was worth MVP votes. And I guess you can say the votes weren't really that close anyways. Like Jokic won by a landslide, Shea second, and Doncic third. Doncic really has to get Dallas to be like a top three, top two team in the Western Conference for him to be considered as an MVP, because he puts up all the numbers, all the triple doubles, but the wins, they just aren't there. So we'll see how he does next season, Doncic, as far as winning an MVP goes. So in the NHL, as things stand, Boston and Florida are tied 1-1. The Rangers lead the Hurricanes 2-0. The Rangers, well, I'll go through that in a bit. But the Avs are up 1-0 on Dallas, and the Oilers and the Canucks are tied 1-1. So everyone is talking about Ottinger. Everyone's talking about Ottinger being up, being like one of the best goalies for Dallas, the best goalie in the playoffs so far. Doesn't allow, goals in the third period or overtime, but Dallas was up 3-0, and Dallas was up 3-0 on the road, and they came back. They let the Avs come back and win that game in overtime 4-3. So Ottinger, the entire team was kind of shook up. But the Avs are just offensive juggernauts. McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, anybody, they can just score. And apparently I heard Jonathan Jewin could be coming back pretty soon, or for the next game. Last night, the Panthers returned the favor to Boston by beating them 6-1. And that series seems to be going to be getting pretty scrappy as things go. They're gonna be in Boston now for game 3 and 4, and that's gonna pump up Boston even more to make some big hits, to start to get scrappy, to do whatever they have to do. Swayman allowing 6 goals was kind of a surprise. I'm not sure if they pulled him, but allowing 6 goals was not in character for Jeremy Swayman. So hopefully he can fix up. I hate Boston. I hate the Panthers, but I guess I'd rather Boston win, just because I don't want Florida to win a Stanley Cup. I'd rather Boston just win a Stanley Cup because they won. They have a good team. Florida, nah, I'm not a fan of Florida. And last night, the Oilers were up 4-1 against the Canucks. And honestly, I'm not really surprised that the Canucks came back and won that game. 5-4, not even in overtime. So the Oilers definitely, blew a chance, like a major opportunity to take a major hold in the series, especially knowing that Vancouver was at home. They could have gone up 2-0, going back to Edmonton, but they just couldn't do it. Surprising, considering, well, I guess you can't really ask McDavid, Draisaitl, anyone to play solid defense to prevent goals from happening. But it's not like Vancouver has scrubs on their team either. They have some good players too. So tonight, the Rangers and the Hurricanes playing game 3. Rangers trying to go up 3-0. And Avs and Dallas game 2. Avs trying to go up 2-0. That Rangers and Hurricanes game 2 was absolutely crazy. Double overtime. And during I was watching the game, like in bed watching the game. I was in overtime. I fell asleep. I woke up still overtime, still single overtime. So I kept on watching it. It went to double overtime. In the intermission, I fell asleep. Woke up. The game's still on. I'm like, okay, let me just try to stay awake to see the double overtime. And bam, Vincent Trocheck finally scored double overtime. That was the celebration was insane. The scenes at MSG. I want to experience a Knicks game at MSG. I want to experience a Rangers game at MSG. Just off the charts of excitement. They had a perfect shot of his face with his team and with the crowd right beside him. It was like, as they say, hanging up in the Louvre. So, the MVP finalists, the winner wasn't announced, but the finalists were announced. And the MVP finalists are McKinnon, Kucherov, and McDavid. And I was wondering what the order would be. And I think it's like before I saw the Ted Lindsay nomination, I was thinking it's going to be McKinnon and then McDavid and then Kucherov. But because the Ted Lindsay Award nominations were McKinnon, Kucherov, and Matthews, I think the MVP finalists, like the order, might be McKinnon, Kucherov, and McDavid. McDavid got up to kind of a slow start. He only scored around 30 goals, even though he got a whole bunch of points and assists. Kucherov got a whole bunch of goals, and Kucherov got a lot of goals and 100 assists, and McKinnon just an all-around player and second place in points. And Colorado had a better record than Tampa Bay and Edmonton. So I think McKinnon, like I said in multiple episodes, deserves to win an MVP finally. As far as Matthews goes, it's a tough call to see if he deserves to be a finalist for MVP, because he didn't really put up that many points, even though he got 69 goals. I think if he got 70 goals, he might have been able to get third in MVP votes, but at least the players respected Matthews by giving him some votes for the Ted Lindsay Award and making him a finalist. But Matthews also a finalist for the Selke Award. Selke Award goes to the best defensive forward, and for him to have a great plus minus, for him to be a great defensive player and also score almost 70 goals is very, very impressive. That's pretty much an MVP right there. You know, McDavid, no. McKinnon, not a finalist for Selke, and Kucherov, not a finalist for Selke, but Matthews shows his all-around game, and I don't know, it's a tough call. Maybe I feel like third and fourth place is probably going to be very, very tight between McDavid and Matthews, but arguably McDavid or Matthews should be second place, in my opinion. And the bittersweet news that I was talking about in the introduction to the show was that the Maple Leafs have fired their coach, Sheldon Keefe, after 4 years. It's, you know, you say every fan says, oh, like fire the coach, fire Keefe, but you got to remember, like, you know, of course, they're the coach of your favorite team, not doing successful in the playoffs, but he's still, you know, a person. He's going to be looking for a job to sustain himself and his family, you know. But he had a good run in the regular season. He won the Calder Trophy with the Marlies. Dubas hired him, rookie coach, to coach the Leafs, and he had a great record. But when it came down to the playoffs, I felt like he just couldn't get through to them like he had to. The players couldn't respond. But it's not like you can totally blame Sheldon Keefe, because he tried to like motivate guys like Marner, and Marner would like take it personally, you know, and be complaining, and he would like, yeah, I'm sorry I have to talk about Marner like that, you know, he's so sensitive. But Keefe, as they say, good regular season coach, but when you're playing for a team like the Leafs, or when you're the coach of a team like the Leafs, you don't really care about regular season. You care about breaking that curse of not winning a Stanley Cup in however many years. And he just struggled to get past the first round. Second round, didn't really, like, got swept by the Panthers last year. So it had to be done. It's a business, and it had to be done. But Keefe, I appreciate all the hard work he's done with the Leafs, and hopefully he can, you know, find success elsewhere, which I wouldn't be surprised, because, hey, the Leafs are a cursed franchise, clearly. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just leaves and wins a Stanley Cup with whoever he goes to next, you know? Like, even Nazem Kadri, Stanley Cup champion, Colorado. So we'll see what happens. Who's the next Leafs coach gonna be? There's some few options. You know, Bruce Boudreau, I heard. Joe Quenneville, I heard. Maybe there's some. Honestly, like, the last time I tried to get a well-known coach like Mike Babcock, that didn't really work out at all, and he had to be let go because of a whole controversy. But it just seems like Marner, no matter what coach comes in, Marner's always complaining about being like hassled and being spoken to like he's an adult. So not only was it's the right thing to let Keith go, but it'd be also the right thing to trade Marner to a team where maybe there isn't that much pressure on him, where he can just be a great player and just, you know, not be spoken to like he's an adult, be treated like a baby pretty much. You know, build a team around Matthews, Nylander, Matthew Nyes, find a solid defenseman, find a goaltender, a sturdy goaltender, and just build up the team. I guess with a new coach, new system in place next season, it's gonna be, the regular season could be exciting, but we're obviously just waiting until the playoffs start. We'll see what changes they make besides this coach. But yeah, the Leafs, we'll see. It's gonna be a long off season, but it's gonna come by quick because these days time just flies. Okay, so in other news, in other sports news, the Rome Open in Italy is just getting underway. So on Monday, we'll have more clarity of that for the men and the women. We'll see how the Blue Jays do against the Twins this weekend. The Blue Jays managed to split the series against the Phillies. You know, they lost against the easier pitcher and they beat Aaron Nola, the tougher pitcher, yesterday. So that was good. Didn't get that many hits really. Well, they did get a lot of hits, but didn't get that many runs, I should say. One of baseball's top pitching prospects, Paul Skeens from the Pittsburgh Pirates, has been called up, and he's gonna start on Saturday against the Cubs. So we'll see how he does. As far as there's been a lot of rookie pitchers who's been doing rather well, but as far as the hyped up pitchers like Jack Leiter and Jackson Holliday, who's not a pitcher but he was a hyped prospect, they really haven't been doing that well. So we'll see how Paul Skeens does in his first start. I'll try to watch that even though it's a Pittsburgh game. And why do you want to watch Pittsburgh? Really just to watch him for the most part. And he's playing the Cubs, so it's not really the toughest lineup and not really the easiest at first starts. So I expect him to do well. He has a major fastball, just a full arsenal of pitches at his disposal, and he can pitch at 98, high 90s at his will. If he was playing the Blue Jays, he'd probably get a no-hitter. So next week, Formula 1 is going to be back in Italy. It's going to be one of those classic races. Almost going to be time for Monaco, another classic race, and the season's going to be in full swing. And by Monday too, we're going to have more clarity on the Premier League race, and we're going to have more clarity on the NHL and the NBA playoffs. That was another great episode of Sports Paradise. Hopefully get more things to talk about, like once football is over, I wonder what's going to be talking about, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs going to be done. It's going to be tough to bring up subjects, but we'll think of something to talk about. Sports, there's everything going on every day, no matter what. Today I have the second game of my softball league. First game we won 23-6, so this game we're looking to repeat that or do even better. Just we have a great team, great players. Let's see what happens. Tomorrow gonna go back to the driving range, try to get some consistent shots. Times like this, I really wish I had more friends who played golf, more friends in general, I guess, because I want to go to the actual golf course, but I don't really know anyone who plays golf like that. So just go to the driving range for now, see how I hit the ball. Maybe I'll go by myself to play some golf, play some 18 holes sooner rather than later. But we'll see how it goes. And Saturday, Sunday on the weekend, I'm gonna get out there and play some tennis. So it's gonna be a good weekend, regardless of where you are. It's probably gonna be some good weather. So you too, get out there, play some sports, go for a walk, go for a nice drive, get some drinks. Don't drink too much and don't drink and drive, but have a great weekend and enjoy your time. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.